Hey everybody, Dave here, and thanks so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a rod holder build that you can use to hold your rod while you're bank fishing, whether from the river, the lake, or the shore. I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is, and I'm going to show you how cheap it is to build. So stick around. Alright, let's show you just how easy it is to put this together. You're going to need 2 1/2-inch pieces of rebar, 24 inches, and the cheapest place that I found was Lowe's. They have a 10-foot piece of rebar that is around $5.80. I'll put a link in the description below for you, and I just cut that down into 2-foot lengths. You could use anything to cut it down with: hacksaw, reciprocating saw, grinder wheel, you know, or a cold cut saw like I have. So if you buy the 2 lengths, which I did, you'll have enough to make 5 rod holders. Or if you make them a little smaller, you know, 20 inches or so, you'll be able to build more. Now the other thing you're going to need is a piece of 1/4-inch round stock, and I cut these off at 8 inches and cleaned up the ends. You'll need a piece of 1-inch wide 2-inch pipe, and I had a piece of pipe left over from some plumbing, and I just cut that into 1-inch sections. Now the easiest way to get a nice clean cut on these, if you don't have a cold cut saw, is to wrap a piece of paper around it and then line up the edges of the paper and then just trace around it with a Sharpie or so and follow that along as you're turning the pipe. You're also going to need some 3/4-inch nuts right here, regular standardized nuts. I got those at Tractor Supply. Buy them by the, you know, goes by the poundage, so it's pretty cheap. I think it's $2.60 a pound of stuff, so those are pretty cheap. So those are the things you're going to need, and so let's jump into the build. So let's start on the bender here. Now I'm going to come about 4 inches up here, and I want to bend this at about 50 degrees. I want a steeper angle because I want the rod tip to do the work. I'm going to be utilizing circle hooks mainly when I'm fishing from the bank, and so I want the tip to give a little bit so the fish can run and it slide and set itself in its mouth, and then I just have to start reeling. I don't want the angle too low like this where the rod can come forward and the guides can bang. I don't want it too steep where it can fall out the back. So I'd say 50 degrees or so, 55, right around there is going to work for me. You can make it whatever you want. You can do them at 45 degrees, 60 degrees. You can lay them down low like this. Doesn't really matter. It's all personal preference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this in here, and so that they're all the same, I'm going to line it up right here with the edge, just like that. And I'm going to eyeball this, and once I do the first one and I like the angle, then I'll just repeat that. Say if I bend this to the outside of this line here, and I look at it and that's what I want, then I'll just bend them all that way. I don't have to get fancy. You can change the angle. If you don't have a bender like this, and I got this at Harbor Freight, ran around $79, I think it was on sale or so, or I can't remember. But anyway, I'll put a link in the description below. This has been an awesome tool for me. I use it a lot for a lot of different things. And they even have a benchtop model as well, which is about half the price. But this bolts right to the floor. It stays here in the corner out of the way. Works really well. So let me bend this and show you how easy it is, and then we'll bend all of them that way, and we're going to be making 4 holders. There we go, just like that. Quick and easy. So I'm going to be cutting these at 5 inches. 5 inches from the top to the bend. So tack one. So now that we have this welded up both sides, what I want to do is I want to put the nut on. And the way I'm going to do that is just to put this in the vise. Right like that. You drop the nut on there. I'll bring it up a little bit. Right there. And I'll keep everything oriented the same. I'll put a tack here. That'll give us a nice surface. If we need to tap it down with a hammer, we'll be able to. Let's go do the next one. Okay, so now I've raised everything up in the vise, and I'm going to weld these rings on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up as if I brought a plane right through here to the edge of that nut. And so I'm going to just eye that up and hold it in place. So now that I've got it lined up, I'm going to just give it a tack. And that looks pretty good. Make sure it's square, twisted. That looks good. Now I'll put a bead right across the bottom there. To the other side. That's our holder for the bottom. Do that 3 more times. So part of the reason that I'm using 2-inch pipe on this is because I want to build these for my grandchildren as well. And a lot of times they use push button reels with the rods, and it has that fatter handle at the bottom. It won't fit an 1.5 inch pipe, but it fits quite easily into the 2-inch. So that's why I'm utilizing that. So we're almost done. Now the next phase is to put our V or U support up here at the top, and then we can give it a coat of paint. So this is a bending tool I made, and I'm going to do a video on this too to show you in case you want to build your own, because I use this quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this in here and pretty much just eyeball where I want this bend to go, which looks right about there. And now I'm just going to wrap this around just like this, and that looks pretty good. So with these bent, what I'm going to do is place them on the rebar just like that, and I will weld them inside and out, and the rods will set right in there. That way they can't move side to side, and they'll be in there quite firmly. So if these are off a little bit, I'll just cut them. So that's the way it looks, right? Just like that. Okay, now I'll just set this in the vise and line it up with the other one and give it a tack. So here's the finished product. This is what it looks like. What I'll do now is give it a coat of paint and put a couple of reflectors on here so I don't trip over them in the dark. And should be ready to go. So now I'm going to give these a coat of paint. I'm going to be using Rust-Oleum 2X, and I'm going to be using a white gloss, semi-gloss. This stuff's great paint. It sticks to plastic, metal, everything. And it comes with a primer already in it, so I don't prime it. I am painting them white because I want them to stand out in the dark. I want to be able to see them and not trip over them. So let me give these a few coats of paint, and then we'll try them out. So there you go. That's how you build a simple set of rod holders on the cheap. I probably built those for about $5 a piece when I figured in the materials. A lot of it I had left over, you know, the paint and everything else. But I think if you had to buy it new, it'd be under $7 a rod holder. And that's pretty good for a bank setup. I hope you got some ideas out of it. I hope it was helpful to you as well. You know, let me leave you with this thought. And that thought is this. You know, none of us goes fishing from the shore or the bank and just throws our rod on the ground. That's not how it's done. You know, our rods cost us money. Our rods are worth something to us. That's why we have rod holders, to keep them up and keep protected and make sure they're not dragged off into the water. You know, God looks at us the same way. I don't know what you've gone through in your life. I don't know, you know, what you've experienced. Maybe it's hardship, maybe it's, you know, struggles from, you know, when you were little, all that, you know, that helps determine our worth in our mind. But you know what, it's really kind of a false way of looking at things. You know, many people think of self-esteem, but you know what, we let ourselves down all the time, don't we? God is the one that wants to give us esteem. God is the one that wants to show us how much worth we have, not because of anything we did, but simply because he loves us. You know, he longs to have a relationship with you and I. I don't know if you realize that. But the thing of it is, maybe you don't know how to go about having that relationship. So I'd encourage you to check out my free book in the description below. It's called Growing Deep. It's there for you. It doesn't require any email or any other information to capture. It's a short read, but it talks to you a little bit about my life, a little bit about the scriptures, and mainly how you can have a right relationship with God, how you can have your sins forgiven, how you can walk with him daily and find peace in your life that maybe you've been looking for all this time. I'd encourage you to check it out. It's in the description below, because you are worth so much to God. He loves you so much. That's the truth. So guys, if you liked our content, I'd really encourage you to continue to look at our videos, check out our playlists, and, you know, consider subscribing if you're not a subscriber. And if you do, hit that notification bell as well, so you'll be up to date on all the videos as soon as they come out. Thanks so much for watching, and please remember, God loves you more than you could ever know. So until the next one, make sure you get outdoors, and God bless.